I just have one question to whoever stole my panties after I wore them. What did you take it to go and do?
Cool, sweet and dripping juicy. I die what I like, die natural is too. Fresh when I taste it, so I want a mango for Samantha, that mango for Vanessa, that mango for Missy, Chrissy, Britney, Crystal, and Kizzy, yeah.
It's your girl Camille keeping it real, and you are watching The Real Camille. So, moving along on the topic of monitoring spirits now. Social media is something that my parents don't like social media. You know, when you have old fashioned Caribbean parents who come from a place like Grenada, Grenada is still very close to its African roots. So you're always going to have that superstitious feeling of people are watching you, people are trying to do you or do something or whatever. You understand? So I think that's probably the reason why my parents don't really like social media. They're not into the idea of putting yourself out there. They're like, you need to be protected, you need to be protected. But of course, I come from a younger generation and social media is where it's at. Like, we are living in a different world than our parents grew up in. And it's like right now, if you're not making use of social media, how are you surviving? You know? Now, even my mom, like, she got into Facebook. She doesn't do TikTok and Instagram, but she looks at Facebook. She looks at YouTube. My dad also too is always Googling things. So I mean, come on. We do need the internet. And the internet has taught us a lot. Technology is a part of our lives, right? But unfortunately, it does invite everyone to have access to you. Like, think about it. Right now, I'm sitting down inside. No one has access to me inside. However, I'm on screen and via the internet, you are accessing me. If you want to contact me, you can leave me a comment and maybe I'll respond, right? Right. So, monitoring spirits is like something that was the last thing on my mind, especially with me growing up here in America and having more of an Americanized mindset. I am not thinking about, oh, somebody's gonna do me, somebody's gonna OBM me, I'm not thinking like that. I am just into finding out new ways to use technology, minding my business, and using technology to my advantage and how it's going to help my life and my career. Okay. But spirituality is something that is very real. And sometimes you can start to get little messages and gut feelings and intuitions that someone is watching you, or a lot of people are watching you. And sometimes people could be watching you with, you know, envious eyes, a covetous heart. And people literally don't even really know what they're jealous of because they have no idea how you're actually living. They don't know who you live with. They don't know how much money you have. They don't know where you work. People don't really know anything about you unless you tell them or unless you show it to them. Like right now, I'm sitting here on this couch and you're probably assuming that I live here. You're probably assuming that um, these things belong to me and that maybe I bought them. And, you know, people make up these narratives in their mind and they just run with it. And that's what they see as the truth. Whatever they made up is what they think. You probably think I bought this wig. And it's not until someone actually tells you, this is not my house. This is not my chair. These are not, people would have to tell you that. But if they don't tell you that, you're assuming she's at home. Some of my other videos, I'm sitting on a nice couch and stuff like that with the pillows. It's a studio. I don't live there. It's a photo studio. And again, people will just look at your pictures and be like, wow, she looks really amazing in this picture. Like, she probably has a lot of money just because she looked nice that one day that she took that picture. And so they get jealous of you, but they don't know what they're jealous of. Okay. Anywho, I started to realize that there were monitoring spirits and I wasn't letting it affect me. However, I did make the mistake of someone who came into my DMs. They were watching what I was doing, would never like anything, would never actually engage with the content, but always going in my DMs and saying like, "What's with your camera quality? Like, as a music artist, you should. Everyone's using 4K, and your stuff looks like 720 or 1080p. Like, just like picking at me. You know what I mean?" They made themselves come off as someone who wanted to help, but later on down the road I realized that they're also trying to help themselves to people to energy harvest. And there's a jealousy there with whatever talent it is that you possess that they don't have it. They're trying to see if they could also learn it off of you. So it was kind of a tactic of, hey, I just noticed these things about your stuff. So, like, I just wanted to give you this advice. But they were not actually supporting the journey. And they exchanged phone numbers with me and started to call me all the time, but they were energy harvesting. And I started to realize that. And so I pulled back from them. Thank God they are no longer like they no longer have access to me. Okay. But I noticed the energy harvesting. I was not gonna allow that person to use me in any way, shape, or form, or help themselves to me in any way, shape, or form. So thank God that I have been removed from that person's life. Okay. But that was not the only monitoring spirit. There were so many other monitoring spirits. And again, I was oblivious to it because I was minding my business and just trying to figure out ways to better myself on my own, learning through YouTube, learning the music business, learning what to do and what not to do, and stuff like that, while still being myself on social media. Another thing that some people started to act like was a little bit of a problem was the fact that I was being myself on social media. Some people started to pick at me and say, "Oh, you're being too real. Female artists need to act like they're all that. Um, don't be too human. Don't be too humble. And stop answering people." And I'm like, "What do you mean I be answering people?" They're like, "Yeah, I see you. You be commenting on people's stuff and you be, sharing certain things that, that's going to hurt your brand." And I'm like, so because I'm being human and I'm engaging on other people's comments, I'm like, how does it work for you to want people to engage on your stuff, but you don't want to engage back with other people? Like, how does that work? So I started to face a little bit of a tug of war with myself on, am I hurting my brand? Like, should I listen to them or should I continue doing me, keep doing my thing? Like, and let me tell you, had I continued being me and continued doing me, I would have already reached so much further rather than listening. But again, I was younger, my mind was younger. I was more impressionable, probably more vulnerable to listening to people saying, "Don't share too much of your opinion. You're a music artist. De-humble yourself. Stop answering people." And I was just like, maybe they're right. Maybe I do need to protect my energy and protect my space and act scarce and don't comment on stuff or don't pose my opinions on what's happening around the world. And that was a big mistake when I started to fall back from social media. And I even took a hiatus from social media at a point where I should have been utilizing social media more. I took a back seat and I stopped using social media. I even stopped posting things on Facebook. I stopped writing things on Facebook. Because people are like, oh, stop writing on Facebook. You're an artist. Like, trying to make me feel like, stop being human, behave like a god, and don't answer people, don't do vlogs, don't, and so I was like, okay, I guess. But within that time that I took a step back from social media, I actually did utilize that time to hone in on my craft and sharpen my writing skills, my lyrical skills, and sharpen my ear for music. And I was focused a lot more on consuming a lot of business content on YouTube, and I started to make steps towards forming my own business. So I registered a LLC here in New York City and started to just work on learning how to found the business and fund the business. I started to sell t-shirts. I started to sell, other merchandise. I was selling CDs and stuff like that, and I was making sales. Okay. After that, there was a point in time where I had went to Grenada, and this is before the pandemic. I went to Grenada. I was doing some, visuals for music, and someone stole my panties after I wore them. Someone stole my dirty panties. I was actually very distraught that day. You guys, when people steal from me, I get really, really, really sad. Like it brings back trauma from my childhood, because in my childhood, when I was 8 years old, the apartment that we used to live in, the entire house got robbed, and it was like a really traumatic day and experience for me, and I'll never forget it. So when people steal from me and when people rob me, and it could be of anything, whether you steal money, whether you steal my clothes, whether why would you steal my panties? I don't understand. It was actually two swimsuits that I wore. I was on a resort in Grenada. I was at a hotel. I used the swimsuit in the pool and everything like that. And when I was leaving the hotel, or after when I left the hotel, I noticed that in my bag, the bra parts of the bikinis were there, but the panties were not there. Okay. Both panties, including the underwear that I wore before I put the swimsuits on. All of those panties that I wore, my dirty panties, were gone. And I was totally confused, because I remember changing my clothes in the bathroom, and I remember taking everything up and putting it in my bag. So I was like, I don't think I left the dirty panties in the bathroom. But I said, you know what? Let me go back to the hotel and see if the panties were left in the bathroom, or see if they were left somewhere in the room, even though I specifically remember putting everything back in my bag when I changed my clothes. There were other people there with me. So of course I let them know. I was like, hey guys, like, did you see my panties? Like, my panties are missing. And everyone was like, what? Ew. Like, So like, who would take my dirty panties? And at first I didn't think someone took them. I thought that I thought they got left behind. So within just a few minutes of leaving, I turned right back around, and I went back, because I was in a vehicle, and I remember I looked in my bag and stuff like that. I was looking for something and noticed, like, there's no panties, so turned right back around and went back there. And I looked, and they were nowhere to be found. I searched around the pool area. I then went to the people who work at the hotel, and I asked the people in the office, and they said, okay, they're going to ask the cleaning people, although they did tell me that the cleaning people did not go to clean that room as yet. They said, like, I had just left, so they did not go there to clean as yet. So they were like, did you check the room? Because no one's been in the room since you left. So I said, yeah, I did go back to the room to check, but they're not there. So they said, okay, we'll ask the cleaning people. And the cleaning people said, yeah, we haven't even got to that room yet. I said, okay. And so I didn't think anything of it. I just thought to myself, well, all of the people that I was with I'm the smallest person and my panties cannot fit them anyway. So I highly doubt that they stole my panties, but I was just like, who stole my panties? And I wore them. I sweated in them. I was in the swimming pool with them. It was not until I continued to share this with other people that people were like, oh, you don't know why people would steal people's dirty panties? And I was like, no. Why would somebody steal my dirty panties? And then I was told why dirty panties get stolen. And I said, oh, okay. And that was that. I left it alone. I was really sad actually, because those were the first two bikinis I've ever owned in my entire life. I've always been a very skinny, maga girl. And I've never felt comfortable wearing swimsuits. However, I was gaining confidence and I bought these two bikinis. I've never owned a bikini before, and I was very proud of myself for putting these bikinis on. It was a very sad, traumatic experience for me that they were stolen. All right. Anyways, I saved the two bras, parts of it, obviously. I never got the panties back. Well, now I don't have any of them because all of those clothes, I left them in Caracu. Hurricane Barrel came and I no longer have those clothes. Okay. But again, I'm not a materialistic person. I know what it's like to lose everything and then gain, like God gives you more than what you lost and stuff like that. So when I lose, I'm not so heartbroken because I've lost so many times before in life. Like the first time it happens to you, you're gonna be traumatized. Your first time getting robbed, your first time getting your clothes stolen, your first time people steal money from you, your first time people, you're gonna be traumatized. But eventually, with experiences and experience and trauma helps you grow in life, unfortunately. And these things, shape you and they make you stronger and stuff like that. So yes, I still do feel hurt when people take stuff from me. So please do not see this video and think, oh, I can steal from Camille because she'll be fine. She said she'll be fine. No, don't do that. I'm just letting you know that I've lost so much in life that I'm almost a little bit numb to the pain now. And that's the reason why I still carry on like everything is okay. But in the moment, I do have to deal with those traumas. And also, please do not forget, I actively go to therapy, which helps me to process my thoughts, process the trauma, take the blame and the hurt off of myself, and use it to continue to shape my future. Because a lot of depression and a lot of your struggles with your mental health is all those intrusive thoughts where you blame yourself for what happens to you. And you start, giving yourself self-hate and disrespecting your own self. And you don't deserve any of those things. Okay. I did not deserve to get my panties stolen. And it's not my fault that my panties were stolen. And whatever mishap or misfortune happened or did not happen or whatever because my panties were stolen is also not my thought, not my fault. So I am not going to blame myself, and I am not going to just, consume myself in the depression of, why did this happen to me? I wish this never happened. I want to live a different life. I want things to go a different way than it did. Why? Oh, why? Stop. Like literally stop. Okay? So many things are beyond our control. And we just have to understand that it's beyond your control. Okay? There was nothing you could have done to prevent people from stealing your panties. You took it off of your body because they were wet. I came out of the pool. I was done using the pool. And so I went to put dry clothes on. I put my wet clothes in a blue plastic bag, and someone went in that plastic bag. When I turned my back, I left my bag on the bed in the hotel room, and someone went and stole the panties because that was just their agenda. Okay? Don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself. Don't tell yourself, oh, why didn't no. Okay? When you are in a field when you're working a job that is in the public eye, people get jealous because you look successful, not because you are successful. They don't know that you are not or are successful. They just know that they are looking at you on social media and you look successful. The picture that you successfully took that picture in front of that beach or in front of that wherever it was that you were. And all they know is that they would like to be there and they are not there and you are there and you have what they want or what they would like to see for themselves. And when people see that, they become upset with themselves. They're not upset with you. They're upset with themselves because they don't know how to get themselves where you are. All right. And that is why they actively start to try to energy harvest on you to see, how'd she get there? I want to be there. What did she do? They start following you, whatever the case is. Some people, they're doing it out of admiration and inspiration and not out of they're not spewing any hate. They actually really want to learn from you, and that's that. But there's other people who start to give hate because it's like they don't even want to put in the work to get where you are, but it just burns them to see that you're there and they're not there. Okay? It's not their fault, but it's necessary. It's what I believe it is it's a spiritual warfare. It's evil energies and negative spirits that actually go to these people and possess these people and use their bodies as vessels to do these evil works, like stealing my panties. Okay?